How to make money on YouTube. This video actually is coming from a text message that I got from a really good friend of mine who is also a fellow YouTuber, and they want to take the leap of faith into full-time being a YouTuber like I did April 1st, 2021, so a little over a year ago. And they were like, hey, I really want to take that jump, and I was just curious if you had any tips or tricks or any insight that you could share to help me get that leap. Like, you know, I'm making some money from YouTube now, but I want to take that next step. That got me thinking. I really wanted to give them a really detailed answer to that question. So maybe I went and created a little list, and on that list I have a whole bunch of ideas and things that I personally do and that I was going to send to them, and I was like, you know what, this is really good, like, to share in general. One, it can help them, and I'll send them my personal list. And then I figured, let me film it for you in case you are a YouTuber or you want to take that leap, or even if you're not doing YouTube, but it'll just help you get your gears flowing as somebody that might potentially work in this sort of business, social media business, or in any business, honestly. My main biggest source of income is YouTube. Google AdSense, as they call it. I get paid on the 21st of every month, once a month, so you gotta budget accordingly. The way that you make money from YouTube is through ads. When you watch a video and it has an ad, that pays the creator a portion of the ad, because the marketer, the company, is paying YouTube to be in front of the audience, and then YouTube is paying you a portion of what they are getting paid to be on the ad, or to that market, that space. So one thing that's really interesting is everybody gets different commercials because it's based on what you have previously watched and what Google knows you're interested in. So say, for example, you get a hat commercial. Well, that hat company is paying YouTube, and then YouTube is paying you a portion of what that company paid you. The amount of money that you make on that is very, very unique to you and your channel and the type of content you make. It's calculated in something called CPM, which is cost per milli, and how much per thousand views you get paid. So whether it be $5 per thousand views, $1 per thousand views, $15 per thousand views, or $3 per thousand views. It really depends, actually, based on the type of content you're making and, very importantly, the viewership. For example, certain countries, their CPM runs very low. So for example, certain countries have, like, you might have the same video, and if people in one country are watching it, you might make a lot of money, and if people in a different country are watching it, you might make a lot less money for the same amount of views. It's just because however the marketers deem their product worth in that country. So that's something to consider as a content creator. Like, what kind of content am I making? Is it or just be at least aware of it, because in the end, and I'll get to this point, you really just want to be happy. You want to make the content that you want to make, and it shouldn't matter. You know, you shouldn't necessarily be pandering towards the views or making the money, because that's just going to lead to burnout really, really quick. You got to make the content that you want to make, and then figure out how to make money around that. One thing that I think I really benefited from is, while I did a lot of reaction videos and breakdown videos, the problem with that is that they would very often get copyright claims, and you don't make money on those unless the claim gets released. And as the channel started to grow, or as YouTube started to crack down more, I don't know which it was, I felt like I was getting less and less claims released. So, or they would get released and they would get reclaimed 6 months later. It was so frustrating. The benefit that I had is that I had content outside of copyright claimed content. So I think if you can find that kind of content that you enjoy doing, very important, you gotta enjoy the content that you put out there. That can help you make a little extra income as well, because it's not getting claimed. If you put out content that, like, for example, a vlog, or you just talking like this, me talking right here, or interviews, or whatever the case is, that helps a ton because it's not copyright claimed content. Another important thing too is consider the length of your videos. Videos that are longer than 8 minutes long, you can put mid-roll ads in them, and if there's a mid-roll ad, that's more ads that the viewer is seeing, which is more money that you're making. Now, I'm not saying, I want to say all this actually as a disclaimer. It shouldn't all be about the money. It should be content first. It should be happiness first, actually. Then it should be content second, and then you need. But the reason that money is important is because, like, you can't do this if you don't make money. And the more, like, if it becomes a full-time job, you can devote to even more to it and make a better product for your end user. But the goal shouldn't be, oh, I want to buy a $1 billion house, you know, so let me just utilize all these things I can to make money from YouTube. Like, no, I'm trying to help you just to get to that next level, so you can buy a better camera, so you can, you know, take your girlfriend out to dinner, so you can, you know, like, just enjoy. But the key, I want to reiterate, is just enjoying the process and not be focused on the money. But these are just some tips that I've learned along the way. Next is something called Patreon. I have a love-hate relationship with Patreon. Patreon's really cool because you can do some really cool things with it. Like I've done things that I can't do necessarily on YouTube, like for example, movie breakdowns or, you know, full-length things where it might get blocked on YouTube, which is really cool, but they do take a decent percent of your income, which really stinks. But the benefit is they have a really nice platform. Like it's really user-friendly, which is really cool. You don't have to build your own platform. You don't have to have like a Google Drive list, which is a cool option too. If you want, that's something I would have considered doing actually. Patreon's really cool because you could do videos that might not be available on YouTube, for example, like copyright claim things or full-length things if you want to do that. You could also do experiences, which is really interesting. Experiences are cool things. So for example, I offer Patreon Zoom calls. So every week or most weeks, I get on a Zoom call with my patrons, and that's really fun. The only problem with Patreon, I don't even know if I call it a problem. It's like anything else on social media or in life. It takes a long time to build it. It's not like, hey, people don't realize actually, and this is just a total misconception, and it's okay. They wouldn't. Most people wouldn't realize this. It is incredibly hard to convert people. I know a lot of people, myself included, when as my channel was growing and stuff, I didn't really notice it's too much. Oh, that person has 1 million subscribers. If 1% of their viewers goes and does this thing, well, that's, whatever, 10,000 people, I think. That's a lot of people, yes, but that's a huge percentage. The conversion rates are very small. I'm talking very small. Like, it's hard to convert people to be like, hey, go follow me on Instagram. Hey, go do Patreon. Go sign up for Patreon. Go do this. You get maybe like 0.2% convert, unless you have like this amazing connected crowd. But like, even then, 3%, 4%. It's not like, hey, I have 100,000 subscribers. 18,000 people are going to go sign up for Patreon or something like that. It's a slow growth, but if you are patient with that growth, it helps. I've seen some guys crush it. I'm talking like 10 grand a month from Patreon. Now that took it took years, but it's pretty impressive too. Other options are things like, for example, I wanted to move away from Patreon because I wanted to do different style content, not necessarily just like video stuff, but like I wanted to send people like, signed merch or something like that. So I started my own through PayPal called Tudo Plus, Tudo like my last name. And that's an experience people can sign up for. They also get access to the Zoom calls as well. Another revenue source is the YouTube join button, how you can become a member of the channel. I don't offer any perks on mine. I just literally say, hey, if you just want, it's called Funding the Dream, and there's different tiers, and people just sign up just to help fund me. And it's actually pretty amazing. It blows my mind when people sign up because they get no perks except for a little icon next to their name, and they just want to support. And it's actually remarkable, and I'm actually incredibly grateful for those people, so thank you. Another way that I personally make money from YouTube, or not necessarily from YouTube, but as a content creator, as a full-time musician, is through my music. I don't make a ton of money yet through my music, but it is, a decently steady stream of income that comes through. I pull from a couple different sources because I have my music released on a couple different things. I use TuneCore, Lander, and DistroKid, and every couple of months, every month, I pull out money from it. It's not a ton of money, but it ends up, hopefully that's going to change, right? Next is merch. And merch is a really cool way to make money. I was actually making a couple $100, or at least $100 a month for a while from merch. It's definitely slowed down. I haven't promoted it at all. See, the thing is, you have to stay on top of promoting all these things. You have to remember to promote Patreon. You have to remember to promote your merch. You have to remember to promote your Tudo Plus or the Join. It's like, but then you don't want your intros to be massively long, so it's tough. Here's a biggie that I was actually really blessed with for a while, and then I started to kind of phase out of them, whether it be, they went in different directions, I went in different directions, but that's sponsorships. I liked getting reoccurring sponsorships. Essentially, I would much rather a monthly deal with a brand where I would guarantee them a certain amount of views and in return for a certain amount of money, as opposed to one-off video, which would likely have made me more money. I would have made more money doing one-off videos, but I want to create relationships with brands so that like it's long-term kind of thinking rather than just a shorter term, like, hey, let me just secure the bag kind of thing. Be surprised that I got my first sponsored video at like 8,000 subscribers, which is still a lot, and they reached out to me, and then I followed up with them, and then we worked out this relationship where we both mutually benefited for a long time. And then here's a last tip: if you do like reaction style videos or any style video, actually, is reaching out to other people and seeing if that you can offer them a service. Essentially, you know, if you're a reaction channel, like reach out to, like, I didn't want to be a reaction channel, so I don't do this, but like it would be an option. I actually considered it for labels though, reaching out to labels, reaching out to musicians, reaching out to artists and saying, hey, I have this channel, it has this many subscribers, it has this many views, would you like me to do your music? This is how much it'll charge, but it'll be promotion for you. If you have a marketing budget, consider this as an option. Or, you know, who else can you reach out to, kind of things like that. But those are some tips on how you can make money on YouTube. These are some tips and things I did, and I hope they helped. As always, if you want to subscribe and support my channel, best way to support my channel actually is to check out my music. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Leave any questions or comments down below. I'll see you in the next video. God bless and peace out.